MFRS 141 Agriculture. So I hope that you have watched the two videos, the YouTube videos that I put up in the Google class. And upon watching that video, you will understand the topic better when you read through these MFRS 141 notes. Alright. Now, the scope of this MFRS 141 is basically relate to agriculture activity, which it touch on the biological assets, alright, agricultural produce at the point of harvest, and government grant covered by paragraph 34 and 35. So this biological asset that is covered under MFRS 141, excluding the barrel plants. Okay, right. If you look at this table, this is comparison, a brief summary of the biological asset and its agricultural produce. For example, you will have sheep, and the produce from the sheep is wool. The biological asset trees in a timber plantation, and the produce is fell trees. Okay, ni pokok you tebang, so you get the fell trees. And then dairy cattle. Okay, kalau you pergi New Zealand ataupun mana tu dekat sampah tu, dairy cattle, so produce would be milk. Pigs would be the carcass. Cotton plant, harvested cotton. Sugar cane is the harvested cane. Tobacco plants. Okay, so for each this biological asset, so the second column is the produce, the product that you harvest from the biological asset. And the third column here is a product that are result of processing after harvest. Okay, this one is the product that you commercialize. For example, milk. What do you do with the milk? Okay, you can process and mix it cheese. So this product, okay, after product the produce that you process after harvest is not covered under MFRS 141. Okay, so you see the wool, you make it carpet, so this one is not under MFRS 141. Alright, for example, when you pick grapes, okay, the grapes itself is the agricultural produce. Yes, it covered by MFRS 141. However, when you process the grapes to make wine, then this wine is not covered under MFRS 141. So the one that is covered under MFRS 141 is only the biological asset and the agricultural produce. And from these biological assets, right, there are two types. Either they are a consumable biological asset or bearer biological asset. Okay, I will explain that later. Alright, so next is the definition. So you must know all this definition. What is agricultural activity? Is the management by an entity of the biological transformation and harvest of biological assets for sale or for conversion into agricultural produce or into additional biological asset. That's the activity. I will explain that later. Okay, agricultural produce is the product that you harvest from the biological asset. Alright, and what is a barrel plant? Okay, barrel plant is a living plant that is used in the production or supply of agricultural produce. It is expected to bear produce for more than one period and has a remote likelihood of being sold as agricultural produce except for incidental scrap sale. Has a remote likelihood of being sold. Maksudnya, you have that plant and you don't intend to sell that plant, because the purpose of having that plant is just to produce, to provide you with the fruit or the leaf. Okay, to produce, to provide you with the agricultural produce. The tree itself is not for sale. Okay, except for incidental scrap sale. So if you look at here, remote here means you will compare when it says not bearer plant in 5A. Okay, so if we look at 5A, it says here the following are not bearer plant. Plant cultivated to be harvested as agricultural produce. Okay, for example, trees grown for use as lumber. So this is not bearer plant. Bearer plant ni dia as if macam like a mother producing something, and that the production that you harvest is the agricultural produce. The mom still there, right? That's the bearer plant. So, or this is not bearer plant if the plant cultivated to produce agricultural produce when there is more than a remote likelihood that the entity will also harvest and sell the plant. Okay, there is more than a remote. That means there is more likely that you will harvest that tree itself, the plant itself, okay, as a agricultural produce. Or if it is an annual crops, for example, okay, means and wheat. So this tree does not fall under bearer plant. So bearer plant, because we said that biological asset is a plant or animal. With exception, bearer plant does not fall under MFRS 141, but bearer plant fall under PPE, MFRS 116. Okay, alright. So this one, scrap sale refer to 5B. Okay, when bearer plant are no longer used to bear produce, they might be cut down and sold as scrap. So probably the tree itself does not produce fruit anymore. So what you can do, you can cut. So this is not likely an agriculture. The main purpose of having that tree is not to make it as agriculture produce, but it just happen when the tree does not produce any fruit, then you need to cut them off. Okay, so that's the meaning of incidental scrap sales. Okay, so we done that. Okay, what is a biological asset? It's a living animal or plant. Okay, what is a biological transformation? You transform your asset, your BA. Okay, it comprises the process of, okay, there are 4 elements here: growth, degeneration, production, and procreation. And because of this transformation, it causes qualitative or quantitative changes in a biological asset. Okay, later we will explain this further. Cost to sell, okay, because BA is measured at fair value less cost to sell, and you are not you are familiar with this word, cost to sell. Any cost that is directly attributable when you want to sell the biological asset. Okay, a group of biological asset is an aggregation of similar living animal or plant. Okay, how do you group the asset is probably depend on the age of the BA, or probably the same characteristic of the BA. Okay, what is harvest? Harvest is the detachment of produce from a biological asset or the cessation of a biological asset life process. Okay, that is harvesting. How do you get this agriculture produce? After you harvest, you have sheep. If you ever watch when the worker peel off the wool from the sheep, so wool is the agricultural produce. Trees in a timber plantation, so the fell trees, and this is called consumable BA. Okay, just now I mentioned BA, there are 2 types of BA. One is consumable, another one is a bearer biological asset. So trees need, the tree itself is the produce. So it is not bearer, it is a consumable. You consume that tree and it becomes agricultural produce. Kalau bearer is mom and produce something else, and you take that produce, okay, as an agricultural produce. Dairy cattle, okay, this is a bearer BA, because it produces milk. Pigs is also bearer, so it produces carcass. Cotton plants produce harvested cotton, so cotton plant is consumable. Sugarcane is also consumable. Okay, because the sugar cane you extract. Okay. Okay, then tobacco plant, tea bushes, grape vines, fruit trees. This is barrel BA. Okay, the mummy, and they produce pig leaf, pig grapes, pig fruits. Okay, oil palm is also barrel BA because it produces pig fruit. So you can read here some plant, for example, tea bushes, grapevine, oil palm, and rubber trees usually meet the definition of barrel plant and are within the scope of MFRS 116. So remember, barrel plant. Okay, only plant, yeah. Barrel plant are within under PPE. Okay, however, the produce growing on barrel plant is under MFRS 141. Okay, so this tobacco plant under 116 PPE, the pig leaf is under MFRS 141 biological asset. Okay, alright. Okay, we are done with the definition. Okay, produce growing on barrel plant is a biological asset. This one refers to the agricultural produce. This one, yeah, agricultural produce. This is BA. This is also BA. Alright, except the barrel plant, it is under PPE. I keep repeating it. Okay, so agricultural activity. Okay, example, yeah. Agricultural production include this activity. What are the activity of agriculture? That would be cultivating soil, planting, raising, and harvesting crop. Ini adalah kerja-kerja inilah orang yang menanam pokok-pokok dan membela binatang lah. Okay, harvesting crop, rearing, feeding, and managing animals. Okay, if you're doing aquaculture, that means you are doing raising private aquatic animal. If you are in floriculture, you are growing flowering plant. Horticulture, you are growing fruits, vegetables, and plants. Okay, so that are the activity what you do when you take care of the biological set. And this activity, okay, these are the feature on the agricultural activity, which is capability to change. Okay, the activity involve transforming the BA. The management of change, where the management of the BA involved with giving nutrition to the BA, temperature, fertility, and light. Okay, such as measurement of change, the change in quality. Okay, or quality or quantity. What happened to the quality of the biological assets? Okay, in terms of ripeness, masak daripada tak masak dia jadi masak, kurus jadi gemuk. Okay, quantity, okay, berat. Quantity daripada satu anak dia jadi dah banyak anak. So itu untuk animal lah. Okay, so the transformation result in these 4 section lah. Growth, okay, where the BA grow the animal from baby jadi besar, pokok tanam dan dia growing. So that's growth, increase in quantity or improvement in quality of an animal or plant, sehingga so that from that biological asset, if it is a plant, if it is a consumable, then you can harvest the agricultural produce. If it's an animal, bila dia mature, then it can produce, it can deliver more baby. That is agricultural produce. Degeneration, okay, it contrasts with growth, a decrease in the quantity or deterioration. There is also transformation, bila pokok dia jadi mati, binatang dia jadi kurus dan mati. Contohnya lah. Procreation, creation of additional living animals or plant. Additional living animal, kalau anak lah ada newborn. production of agricultural produce, such as latex, tea leaf, wool and milk. Okay, that is a transformation. Asalnya binatang tu kecil and then it grow, become mummy and then they produce agricultural produce. Okay, boleh keluarkan milk. So that is also transformation. It's a production of agricultural produce. Alright.
It's 3 o'clock.
Recognition and measurement. How do you recognize? You only recognize the biological asset in your financial statement if it fulfills these 3 criteria. There is control. You have control. The entity has control over the asset. There is a probable future economic benefit flow into the entity, and the fair value or cost of the asset can be measured reliably. Okay, so biological asset is measured on the initial recognition at its fair value less cost to sell. Okay, same goes to agricultural produce. You also measure it based on fair value less cost to sell at the point of harvest. Okay, because agricultural produce is created when you harvest it from the biological asset. So you measure it based on the fair value less cost to sell at the point you harvest the produce. Okay, so this is about grouping. I mentioned just now. You can group by age or by quality, right? Then gain and losses. Okay, when you recognize the biological asset, okay, they may arise gain or loss on the recognition when you compare. Okay, when you compare the fair value at the end of the year, fair value of the biological asset less the fair value of the biological asset on the initial recognition. So the difference could be gain or loss on fair value, and you will charge this into SOPL. Either if it is gain, it should be revenue, and if it is loss, it should be expenses. Alright. In the case of when the biological asset produce, okay, this one, this one, okay, procreation, creation of additional living animal or plant. So the entity, so when the animal deliver a baby, contoh calf is born. So this calf is a newborn which the entity do not pay anything. So umpama macam dapat free sahaja. So this is gain to the entity. So itu menunjukkan bahawa that you have reared the cow effectively, that which it can produce a newborn. Alright, so it's a gain to the entity and will be recognized as revenue in the SOPL. Okay, what happens if you are not able to measure the fair value of the BA? So what you do is you will measure it using cost less accumulated depreciation less accumulated impairment loss. So this one's similar to the PPE. Okay, PPE adopting a cost model. Okay, alright. In terms of government grant, this is a grant given by the government for free. Okay, so dia dua, one is called unconditional, second is called conditional grant. Unconditional means that the government give you tanpa syarat. The grant, you get the grant money from the government and you can use that money to run your agricultural activity. So if there is no condition attached when you receive the grant, then the grant can be recognized in profit or loss. Okay, as income lah. But if it is conditional, alright, when the government give you a sum of money that relates to your agricultural activity, and together with the grant they put a condition. For example here, dia kata the government require the entity to farm in particular location for 5 years. Okay, so this is the condition for 5 years. So if the company fail to achieve that 5 years, the company need to return all the grant. Okay, so in this case, you can only recognize in the profit or loss after the expiry of that 5 years, after you have completed the condition. Alright. Okay. If the government grant relates to a biological asset measured at its cost less any accumulated position. Okay, remember just now, if we cannot measure the BA at fair value, we have to use cost basis. So if the BA is a cost basis and you receive grant relating to that BA using a cost basis, so in that case, MFRS 120 is applied for the grant. Okay. Okay, now you will disclose the aggregate gain or loss. Okay, aggregate here means a total. Okay, sebenarnya under gain or loss on changes in fair value ni ada dua, dia punya component, which is change due to physical change. Okay, dari kecil menjadi besar. Okay, so you gain from there, ataupun possibly you get loss. Okay, binatang tu mati. So in the end, you don't get anything. You don't have the animal anymore. Or it could be gain due to price change. Okay, at the beginning of the year, the price is different with the fair value at the end of the year. So if the fair value increase, that means you get gain. Right? If it's lower than the fair value when you first recognize the BA, then it will be lost to the entity. So that's why disebut kat sini disclose the aggregate, but in your calculation later, the question might ask you to show separately fair value change due to physical change and fair value change due to price change. I will show you the calculation. Okay, alright. Now, as I mentioned just now, biological asset, there are two types of biological asset. One we call it as consumable, another one is bearer biological asset. So consumable means the BA itself will become the agricultural produce. For example, livestock macam lembu. Okay, you need to sembelih lembu tu and you sell the meat. So it is a consumable biological asset. Okay, if it is a bearer biological asset, ni yang contoh I kata mami, ibu. Okay, the biological asset, ibu dia hanya produce sahaja. Okay, ibunya safe, selamat. So contohnya you bela untuk susu saja kan. Alright, so lembu tu produce susu, lembu tu stay, kita tak ambil daging, kita tak sembelih dia, kita cuma nak susunya. Tu yang dia panggil dairy cow. Right, so milk is the agriculture produce and lembu, the livestock tu is the bearer. Okay, the bearer biological asset. Okay, don't get confused, bearer animal and bearer plant. Bearer plant sahaja yang jadi PPE, MFRS 116 ya. But bearer animal stay under MFRS 141. Okay. And also biological asset, it can be matured biological asset or immature. Okay, apa maksud mature? Mature biological asset are those that have attained harvestable specification, dah sampai masa boleh produce, boleh provide you with the agriculture produce. Maksudnya dah mature lah. Okay, kalau you sembelih pun maknanya dah sampai umur untuk boleh disembelih. So it's mature. Okay. I think that's all that you must know. All that I mentioned is important lah. Okay, alright. Thank you.